There is something quite weird about the human species in this fallen state. When you ask for clear explanations to justify the expectations that they are investing in, you often either get violence as a response, they just don't want to answer because they can't answer it, or when they answer it, it will be vague distractions. Here's the thing, when you refuse to give in to one of their unquestioned, unexamined expectations, what happens? You're the bad guy. You're disrespectful. You have no manners. Who raised you? Who do you think you are? Don't you see, believers, how weird and how insane this situation is? For example, why is it that it's considered a bad thing to call someone with their first name? Your first name is the name that was assigned to you at birth, right? So that's what your brain is used to, that's you. If you have the last name Smith, and there are hundreds of thousands of people called Smith, and you say Mr. Smith, how do you know someone is addressing that particular individual? Why is it that people want to have control how you call them? When you have contact with someone over a period of time and feel comfortable with you, then you're allowed to call them with the first name. So it's subjective. So they can control how you're allowed to call them. So it's all about control. At the workplace, you have to say, you can't just say the last name of the supervisor. Sometimes you just say the title also. Why is that? Those are all psychological tricks. Why? To train you, to allow them to control you. This thing about control is an obsession in fallen mankind. It's a deep-rooted psychic addiction that many don't want to admit. And this deep-rooted psychic addiction is the root of all other addictions that humans are afflicted by. As a kid, I thought it was quite weird when older people, which I used to call big people when I was a little kid, how big people then than adults were not able to account for themselves. But if you as a kid were caught in something they didn't like, no explanation was enough because you just didn't like it and you need to find a way to please them. But when they did something that even you as a child could realize, don't mean this doesn't add up, it's none of your business, I'm older than you, blah, 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 and all that other crap. They expect on one-way traffic of validation and adherence towards them. And you're not entitled to anything. Since I was a kid, I realized that this is not right. My body gave the sense to me that this is dangerous. When you look at society, that's how most adults operate. They do not question nor examine that thing they're operating in. Their relief comes from not examining things. That's why mainstream media and entertainment industry that's why those two industries are so effective. Because people don't want to examine what they are involved in. Why? Because the moment they have to examine what they're involved in, then they need to ask themselves some important questions, and they will not enjoy the answers, because the answers will not be comfortable. So, understand, believers, that to be part of any society implies that you need to throw away your instincts. Now, you can't really literally throw away your instinct, because your instinct is part of you, the spirit being, but you must for faith using and listening to your instincts. And that's something quite dangerous. You are told that you need to rely on what experts appointed by the system tell you. So if experts tell you that you need to seek control over other people to be safe, that's what they call enforcing boundaries. You agree with it. Especially if this lesson of enforcing boundaries is taught over and over again. Your instincts may reveal until you don't dominate it. Isn't that the same thing the predator and the narcissist is doing, seeking to control people? Then why are we doing the same thing that they're doing to be freed from controlling people? So we are becoming controlling people to get rid of controlling people? So your instinct may reveal unto you something is wrong with this lesson. But in society, you're never allowed to listen to your instinct. There are some cases that you are permitted to listen to your instinct if it's obvious that's the only thing you can do. But the rule remains, you're not allowed to pay attention to your instinct. Anytime you pay attention to your instinct, you can get along in society. Why? Because the moment you pay attention to your instinct, you'll become uncomfortable. And this discomfort that instinct gives to your body and to your mind is something worldly people want to dump somewhere. Often it's their instincts that's warning them that something is off, but they want to numb the warning. That's why they drink a lot, that's why they use drugs, that's why they're into gossip and all of that, just to avoid facing the alarm signal that goes off on the inside. So worldlings crave distraction more than anything. That's why the sports industry does it so well. That's why the soap operas and sitcoms do it well. Have you ever thought why they're able to pay millions to those football players? It is because hundreds of millions rely on football to be distracted. So they have a whole industry with professional football players, with coaches, with experts, with historians. They've developed a whole world for football so that worldlings can have something to be distracted by. The same to do with many other sports and with music genres. There's nothing wrong with sports nor with music. But in the world, they turn those things into cults. Why? Because worldlings crave distraction. It's one thing to want to avoid a painful subject, which is natural. But it's another thing to persist in denial when it's obvious that that denial is harmful. And that second thing is what worldlings do all the time. It's only when things are escalating and things have went way too far that they realize, okay, something needs to be done. And even then, they only want to do something just to get back to their default state, which is distraction. If you want to be at ease and you don't want to face much violence during this lifetime, allow society to trample all over you, allow society to treat you whatever they want, and accept the blame for every violence you encounter, and give your best despite how shitty you're being treated. If you want to be left alone by society, that's what you need to do. The moment you begin to examine things, expect retaliation. Expect it. Don't you think it's quite weird? There are child molesters out there molesting children. There are, there are corrupt businessmen and corrupt officials that cause hunger in many places, also cause many children to die. Those two evils are going on all over the world. But when you think you're something without the permission of society, that's a big problem. They become obsessed. We have institutions to deal with you. Okay, so there are institutions and mechanisms to deal with individuals who think they have self-worth, but there are no effective institutions to deal with child molesters, nor with those that cause them hunger in the world. What? When you look at the bigger picture, believer, you'll see how ridiculous the world is. You'll see how ridiculous worldlings are. And you'll also see how violent they really are, collectively, and in many cases also individually. As a collective, worldlings are dangerous, especially when the collective feels rejected or when you don't give in to their demands. Now, there are individuals in the world who are relatively safe to be with, but even that you should not underestimate. Worldlings have built up and accumulated frustrations, and those frustrations only have to be triggered and they lose it. They do. As believers, we are not looking for a fight. We're not looking for arguments. We're not looking for drama. We tolerate expectations from others. We get along with others. But we will not compromise the safety of the community nor the safety of ourselves just that people can get narcissistic supply. We will not do that. Yes, we'll be considerate, we'll have empathy, sympathy, pity, and all of that, but all that serves for there to be safety and prosperity in the community. The moment we're not allowed to look after the best interests of the community, then you know something is wrong. Believers, the more you examine many of those conventions worldlings defend, they defend them with violence, the more you'll see how wrong the world is. Look, believers, I can make thousands of videos about this. I'm not going to do that. Just realize that this world, it's all about narcissistic comply by controlling victims, namely believers. Not all believers can be victimized because there are believers walking by faith. That is why you have pagan Christianity that deceives believers into not walking by faith. Because when believers walk by faith, they can still be victimized here and there by the world. A believer walking by faith will never be embraced by the world. A believer lacking here and there, being wounded here and there, is embraced. So, just see things for what they are, believer, not for what you want them to be. It's only when you begin to see things for what they are that you'll be able to walk in the real power that comes from the Holy Spirit. And it's when you walk in the real power that comes from the Holy Spirit that you'll operate in real safety. You cannot be at ease with this world and safe at the same time. Being at ease with the world and being safe, those two don't go hand in hand. They're the complete opposites of one another. To be safe implies to be at odds with the world. To be at ease with the world means that your safety and well-being is compromised. So there is no such thing as serving both the world and Christ. Those two are exclusive. Now you're in the world, you consider others, but you consider them in relationship to your service to Christ, because Christ is whom it's all about. I'm telling you, believers, these worldlings, they are defective in their thinking. They crave control above all. They prefer a sense of control above their own safety. That's what this whole privacy debate is all about. It's all about worldlings wanting a sense of control, even though they can see clearly that control for them does not exist. But they'll fight to get a sense of control, even if it means allowing predators to go around free. Their quote-unquote privacy is more important than the safety of the whole community. You see how far this goes? Just because they want to be able to control what people know about them. Come on now. Are you kidding me? I see the world for what it really is. And I'm not invested in this world whatsoever. I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. So that means that my investments are Christ-centered. All my relationships, all my finances, all my projects, they are Christ-centered. The moment you invest in this world is the moment you lose your safety. There is no such thing as investing in the world and remaining safe. That does not exist. So, do you want to be safe? Then you know what you have to do. Be at peace.